Greetings. Good afternoon, Rotarians, and thank you for being here to start the 2021-22 Rotary Club of Cincinnati year. We're so excited that you're here to join us today, Rotarians, guests, and friends, and also thank you to those of you who are on Zoom. We will begin our meeting with the playing of the national anthem. If you could direct your attention towards the back, pianist Tom White will play the national anthem. Thank you very much. Next, we will have the invocation and four-way test with Owen Rassman, followed by prospective members and visitors' introductions with Jane Burkett.
Thank you, President Melinda. I think we're officially back. Now we're singing and everything in a full room. Give yourself a... Can you please bow your heads? True Rotarians have a magnet in their hearts that attracts true friends. Life is the greatest event we will ever be invited to. As Rotarians, we are given many chances. We all try to act justly in all our dealings. Help us to show kindness, knowing such actions help to overcome people's fears, and instill in us the importance of walking humbly through the day before us. That magnet is unselfishness and thinking of others first. Rotarians know that when they live for others, others will live for them. Amen. And could we all recite the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Don't tell anybody. Okay. All right, guys. Hi. Welcome, Rotarians and new members and guests and everybody that came. What? Oh. Okay. All right. I'd like to introduce today our guests and members, our new members and potential members and visitors. We have Mike Gassaway, who's with Lisa Blaney Gassaway. I think they're married. With Filmatic. Linda Muth brought two guests, Becky McGilligan from McGilligan MD Direct Primary Care, and Meredith McLean, also from McGilligan MD Primary Care. And Tom White is our guest pianist. Thank you very much. That was wonderful. Tracy Cummins is here with Ashme Design, and that Tony O'Shettery brought. I know I pronounced it wrong, but anyway, Tony brought her. I'm sorry, Tony. Tim Blankenhorn is with Park National, and he is Rick Flynn's guest. And Shannon Hero is here with Med Mutual, and she's a guest of Julie Poyers. Welcome, Shannon. And Chris Tucker is here with Zimmer Heating and Cooling, a guest of Nancy Reese. Thank you very much. We have two members that are potential or new members that just went through the classification committee today. Tracy McGuire, a CPA moving here from New Mexico, or has lived here for about a year from New Mexico, and Fred O. Cody, who has a home front nursing care. And Pat Cronenberg is here for the summer, so welcome back, Pat, an old member. And Tim brought his partner, Mary Beth. So Mary Beth, welcome. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody. Love Rotary.
Next, we will have comments from our meeting sponsor, UBS Financial, with John Farmeyer.
Thank you, President Melinda, and it's great to see a room that's at near capacity. I love that. Thank you very much, fellow Rotarians. I am happy to be sponsoring today's meeting. I lead the Northwest Wealth Management Group in the downtown office of UBS Financial Services. For those of you who have been around Cincinnati for a while, the name on the door used to be Gradison and Company. Anyway, I lead a team of 10 people, 5 financial advisors and 5 service professionals. Financial planning and discretionary investment management is the primary services that we provide to our clients. Most of my clients are individuals, professionals like you and your families. If you're approaching retirement or another financial milestone, perhaps interested in learning about tax-effective ways to be charitable, perhaps even to the Rotary Foundation of Cincinnati, please see me and my team. I'd be happy to listen and help you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the sponsorship, John, and for UBS Financial. We appreciate it. Next, we will have the Believe to Achieve live auction, Reds tickets by Owen Rassman.
Remember me? So we caught a couple things today, and as you saw in the raise, leading up to the August 7th, Believe to Achieve, we're trying to, because of the timeliness of Jane Burkhead donating 3 sets of scout seats to the Reds game, we're going to auction off. We've kind of made a decision. We're going to auction off 1 set. And you have a choice of the 3 dates, which I have on my phone. And one other curve for those of you who are vivid readers of the Rays, we've also changed them. I've got them right here. So the dates are July 20th, which is a Tuesday night game with the Mets. We have an August 3rd set, which is with Minnesota Twins, and September 21st with Pittsburgh. So let me, real quickly, if you're not familiar with scout seats, they're right behind the diamond seats. They're probably the best seats in the place. They do not come with food, but you have your own bar and your own, you don't have to fight the common masses up above. You've got your own bar, you've got food down below, you get served in your seats. You also have a parking pass that puts you right underneath. You come right up, right into your seats. They're priceless. But anyway, so what we're going to do is I'm going to auction off, if I can, 4 seats and a parking pass, your choice, and then your choice will be 1, 2, or all 3 sets. And whoever the winner is, it'll be obviously times 3. We get it? Any questions? So we like to start off with, yes, ma'am. The value, face value, which they're hard to get tickets now because they're doing so well. The tickets, face value on the tickets about $110. Parking is about $25, so we're upwards of about $435, $450, whatever that math is. Anyway, I'm retired. I don't have to do this. Anyway, so we're going to start off at $250 and go from there. I got $250 here in the front. Do we have $300? I got 3 in the back. Do we have $400 here in the front? Do we have $450 in the back? Linda. Do we have $500 here in the front? Do we have $600? Do we have $550? We've got $500 here in the front. Do we have any bids above $500? What do you want, Carl? $550 or $600? $550. Do we have? That was pretty stupid, wasn't it? So I got $550. Who give me $600? $600 in the back. Do I have $650? Going once, going twice. Sold. Linda, do you want one? What set do you want? You just want one set? Carl, do you want any for $600? How many? Don, you were the backup, so we got, okay, we're good. Everybody good? $600 for each, and we'll figure all that out. Thank you very much. Real quick, one more thing. I'm sorry, I was asked to also remind you that Carl Kappas will be, our foundation past president, will be in the lobby because he's going to be explaining to people about Believe to Achieve in the tables that are available, and the table levels, anywhere from individual ticket is $175. There's a patron level for 2 tickets and $500 and all kinds of other fun stuff. You can go to the gold level up to $5,000. There's everything in between. But he's out there to explain that, and it's coming up very quickly, and it's going to fill, so please chat with him, and we'll be talking to you next week again about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Owen, for those announcements, and congratulations, Linda, on the tickets. Next, we will have new member introductions. Tony Autry, if you could come forward. While Tony is coming, Jody Devoid, would you come as well? We have 5 new members to introduce in a very short period of time, so please stay focused. Yes.
Hello, everyone. This is my husband, Ed Devoid. We've been married for 26 years. Ed recently retired from the food service industry, which he spent 42 years in. He was his most current position was 13 years at Saveur University, providing food service through the pandemic to the kids that were on campus, and then retiring just about 6 months ago. He's come to many of the Rotary hands-on service functions, and finally he said, I might as well just join. So,
welcome, Ed. Thank you, Jody. Next, we have Tony Autry and Adriana Ritchie.
Thank you. Let me do this quickly. Adriana Corzo Ritchie DeGori, a U.S. citizen with Colombian roots, and is a full-time dedicated mother, a fighter for justice and human rights. She manages various humanitarian programs and activities globally. Adriana presides a humanitarian foundation, the Corazon Humanitarian, with intensified focus on developing and providing opportunities to underprivileged children residing in the state of Santander, Colombia. Did I do okay? As a tireless student of Latin American literature and art history, Adriana is a strong believer of the power of education, diversity, human development, and character building. She is a passionate leader and a strong driver. Her pursuit is to cause change in the lives of many for a better world, a world where justice and good will present to all the opportunity to flourish and contribute to collective development. She takes inspiration on the Nigerian proverbs, "It takes a whole village to raise a child." Adriana trusts we are all responsible in leading children to become kind citizens of strong character in the world they will inherit. Adriana lives in the canton of Geneva with her husband, Gustavo Glory, whom in which is present, and her children, Michael C. Ritchie and Isabella Ritchie. Please help me welcome Adriana. Thank you.
Welcome, Adriana. Thank you so very much, Tony, and welcome, Adriana, and also welcome, Ed. Next, we have corporate members. We have 3 members from Magnified Giving organization, and we're really excited to have the 3 members join us as corporate members. First, I will introduce you to Roger Grind. Roger is the president and founder of Magnified Giving. He's been a successful CPA for 56 years. He has many interests, but philanthropy, sports, and serving others is what he's known for. He's an avid Reds, Xavier Musketeer, and UC Bearcat fan. Bengals. He's coached girls softball for over 40 years and is a world champion coach and advocate for women in sports. There's a documentary about Roger's life that is just wonderful if you've not seen it. Perhaps we'll put it in the E-Raise for next week. It's www.rogergrind.live. It's a beautiful story of his life. He's a general philanthropist. He is passionate about the next generation and helping others as they are young to begin to use their gifts and talents to serve the community. Help me welcome Roger Grind. Next, we have Kelly Collison. Kelly lives in Sycamore Township. She and her husband, Blaine, have been married for 30 years. He's the principal of Bishop Fenwick High School. They have one son, Quinn, who lives in New York. Kelly has had many different opportunities career-wise, some including federated merger between some other organizations, after becoming the Chief Communications Officer for over 20 years with the Midwest market of Aveda beauty products. She oversaw the philanthropy of Aveda in the Midwest and then moved on to a position as the Associate Director of Programs for Address to Success in Cincinnati. She continues her philanthropy with working with students and coaching teens in youth leadership on the national level. She serves on many committees, and I won't name all of them in lieu of time, but St. Vincent de Paul, the USA Regional Chamber Leadership Alumni Committee. She is also a teacher of fashion classes at UC DAP and Miami University, and she's the first and the current executive director at Magnified Giving. She loves animals, theater, sports, and her garden, and she's already become active in our club on the corporate roundtable. Welcome, Kelly. And last but certainly not least, we have Allison Kaufman. Allison lives in Milford. She and her husband, Mike, who's an attorney with Barron, Peck, Benny, and Schemlier, and her 4 children. Allison focused her nonprofit work with a career before moving on to volunteering as the coordinator and program manager with the traumatic brain injury patients. After that time, she joined the Magnified Giving organization as the director of programs. She's excited to dedicate her passion for philanthropy and service to support Rotary in our school program and Youth Connection. She is a member of volunteer for a number of nonprofit organizations, including A Voice for the Innocent, 1 in 5, and a youth council for suicide prevention and the Innovation Challenge. She is very excited about continuing her father's legacy, who was a Rotarian, and she remembers him attending Rotary meetings during her youth, when she was growing up. So welcome, Allison, and welcome to Magnified Giving. Next, we will have Dr. Hux Miller to give us an update on the Hands-on Service Project, as he is the new chairperson of the Hands-on Service Committee, and he's really excited about his new role. So thank you, Dr. Hux.
Thank you, President Melinda. So the Hands-on Service Committee is trying to put together 2 projects every month, and actually for July we have 3. The first one is this Saturday at Gamble Montessori Elementary School, and we'll be putting in fencing to protect a garden from deer. We'll be moving some gravel. We'll be knocking out some weeds. So if you can come, you need work gloves. You need a weed whacker if you have one. You need a wheelbarrow if you have one, and a shovel if you have one. And that will be at 9 o'clock, and the person to contact is Jody DeVoyd. Now, occasionally with our environmental projects, we get rained out. And if the environment strikes back again this Saturday, the rain date is the following Saturday. Then, Saturday, July 24th, we have an indoor project at Matthew 25 Ministries, which is an international development organization that is based here in Cincinnati. So contact me for that one. And then Saturday, July 31st, 9 o'clock, we're going to work with the Mill Creek Alliance to clean up the lower part of the Mill Creek River in preparation for Paddle Fest the following weekend. And the information is in the raise. And while you're in the raise, if you'd like to sign up for the Hands-on Service Committee, because that will allow you to help plan and help choose projects, but you don't need to be a member of the committee to come and work. Thank you.
Thank you, Hux, for those announcements regarding the Hands-on Service projects, the upcoming ones. Announcements for this week: we have birthdays: July 6th, Steve King; July 7th, Laurie Leonard, Ken Manges, Camille Scherzinger, Kelly Crow; July 9th, Trish Smithson, Steve Caraway, Margie Gabarsh; and July 11th, Dan Nyer. Let's give them a round of applause for their birthdays. Next, we have the Split the Pot. 25% of the pot goes to the winner. 25% of the pot goes to the accumulating pot, which is now up to $206, the accumulating pot. Today's winner will win $80, and 50% goes to the club for our membership development efforts. Let's see if we can give away the accumulating pot today. The Queen of Hearts is what needs to be drawn for the winner of the $206 serving pot. So we'll have our guest speaker, Keith Pandolfi, to pick the winner of the Split the Pot. And the winner is, the last 4 digits are 9692. 9692. 2. Ah, Kelly Collison. Congratulations, Kelly. You win the $80 envelope, and we'll see if you pick the Queen of Hearts to win the pot. Continuing on with the announcements, we have committee sign-ups available for all members. We ask that you please participate on the committees for membership. We rely on you to get these projects done, just as Hux mentioned, for the service projects, the hands-on service projects, and we have at least about 40 different committees. So please go back to your E-raise if you haven't already done so, and sign up to serve on 1 or 2, even more than that, committees, because we do need you. We will if you have questions about any of the committees, when you go to Sign Up Genius, the chairperson's name is on there. You can feel free to contact the chairperson of the committee if you have any specific questions. There's also a sign-up listing on Sign Up Genius for the meeting sign-ups. For example, for the greeters who are here today, the program committee, that committee is assigned, but there are some other committees as Sergeant at Arms, and so if you are interested in any of those sign-ups, please make sure that you add your name to the list on the Sign Up Genius account. And you could be one of the ones who was at Split the Pot, just as we just had the drawing. You could volunteer for Split the Pot as well. Would like to congratulate those who attended the Euchre game this past month. In June, we had a winner. First place was Bob McElroy. Second place was Owen Rassman and Jeff Weir. Fourth place was Joyce McElroy. Special thanks to Camille Scherzinger for hosting the Euchre tournament game in June. And this month's Euchre game will be hosted by Allie Hubbard. Save the date. Please make sure that you list that our meeting on the 5th Thursday of July will be held at Scarlet Oaks. Career Campus, we will hear from Rotarian Harry Snyder, who is the CEO of Great Oaks, the 4 campuses of Great Oaks. He will be sharing the evolution of vocational education, career ed, the past-COVID workplace, and we will also have a tour of the Scarlet Oaks campus. This will be a breakfast meeting, so make sure that you have that listed in your planner and your schedule, that it will be a breakfast meeting. It will be July 29th at the Scarlet Oaks campus. Specific information is also listed on the calendar for the Rotary Club of Cincinnati, where you will see the specific address and where we will be meeting. Save the date too, once more, Club 131 will be reopening next week. For those of you who are involved with Club 131, and if you haven't been, they are inviting you to come and attend their reopening next week at the Palm Court Bar after next week's meeting at 1:31. Members in the news, congratulations to Club 17 member Corbin Scherzinger with his new fiancée, Olivia. They recently got engaged, so congratulations to Corbin. Special congratulations as well to Mary Dicker on the birth of her grandchild, Evelyn Rose, who was born July 3rd, weighing in at 6.5 pounds, 6.5 pounds, and 18.5 inches. So congratulations, Mary Dicker. Next, we will have the introduction of the program. And the introduction of our program today will be done by Ken Coggeshell, and he will explain and introduce to you our speaker for today. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, President Melinda. Our speaker today is Keith Pandolfi. He is a James Beard award-winning food writer whose work has been featured in publications including the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Food and Wine Magazine, and Eater, among many others, including an independent weekly in my hometown of Dayton, Ohio. After spending 16 years in New York and as editor of Saveur magazine and the award-winning food website Serious Eats, Pandolfi returned to his childhood home of Cincinnati, where he now lives with his wife and daughter. Last year, he was named the new food and dining writer for the Cincinnati Enquirer. Let's welcome Keith Pandolfi.
That's a big room. Okay. I apologize in advance. I'm a terrible public speaker. Awful. So lower your expectations and sit back. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about my job at the Enquirer, how the job description has changed quite a bit since my predecessor, Polly Campbell, who I think most of you know, since I started, how that's changed. And she retired actually it was a year ago now. She's been gone, so, and how I plan to cover food in our present and hopefully our post-pandemic future. When I started the job at the Enquirer, it was very confusing. I really didn't know how I was going to handle it. We were in the middle of the pandemic. The last piece Polly wrote before she left the Enquirer, I wrote down the headline was, "Let's put this into perspective. This is an apocalypse for local restaurants." So that's what I started with. The first thing we decided was that I wasn't going to do reviews. We were just going to stop doing those. It seemed very unfair to the restaurants to do that. So I had to kind of reinvent the job a little bit. I started out by just trying to be as optimistic as I could be. I started writing just the first or second story I wrote was about how restaurants were pivoting to survive during the pandemic. And I wrote about a restaurant, I don't know if you all know it, but it's called Sacred Beast over in OTR. I was walking around over the Rhine one day and I peeped in the window and I saw the owners, Jeremy and Bridget Lieb. They were running a little dry goods market in the front and selling salt and sugar and that kind of stuff. And when I looked in the window, I saw their kids were sitting there doing homework. So I went inside and I asked him how he was doing. He said, actually, things are really good. Our kids are actually working at the restaurant now. And we're connecting with them in a way that we've never connected with them before. And to this day, the kids are still working there. They're amazing. And I have a feeling that in 20 years, they're going to probably take the place over. So I was trying to find those sort of positive aspects that were happening with people who were given a bit of a break from the kind of arduous job of running a restaurant, working at a restaurant, and reconnecting with their families and the things that they valued. I also wrote quite a bit about the crosstown tip-off, which was just a wonderful thing. It was a kind of competitive spirit of Cincinnati that came shining through there, where everybody's like, especially between UC and Xavier. I have no favorites, so I don't know. I went to OU. But that was another great thing. And another wonderful thing that I witnessed when I started the job, this is probably more in the spring, were the fish fries. It doesn't matter what religion you are. I think that everybody in Cincinnati loves the fish fry tradition here, something we did not have anywhere else I've lived. And I just loved going to wait in line, and you had to wait in your car in line for about an hour, but you got to see all the kids from the church preparing the orders and taking the orders. Every once in a while you got to talk to somebody in the car next to you, but it was just a really wonderful thing. And so I also started doing a fish sandwich of the week thing. It was, people seemed to like that one a lot. But I couldn't avoid the hard truths of what was happening here as well. I wrote about the anxieties that a lot of the restaurant owners and workers were feeling during the pandemic. A lot of them just had no idea what was going to happen, what was around the bend. So that became especially difficult for them as winter of 2020 approached. Nobody knew how they were going to handle the loss of seating capacities, the loss of outdoor seating. They really were at a bad place, to say the least. So I started focusing a little bit. I used to be a business reporter way back when, and I put on my business reporter cap and started doing stories about just the economics of running a restaurant. I also touched on the federal and local loan programs that are available to restaurants, and I talked a lot to the restaurant workers to see what how they were faring and what kind of government assistance they were getting. I think that for a while there was a lot of people were saying that people were never going to return to restaurants because they were getting paid more to stay home with unemployment benefits. And that was partially true. There were some people doing that, but the more I talked to people in the restaurant industry, the more I realized that there were a lot more reasons they were staying away from it, that they had rediscovered their families, that they had rediscovered their children, that they were rethinking their career choices. Some of them went to work in other businesses. Some of them started their own businesses. So I really wanted to point out that these workers are being productive. They're not just sitting at home. They are reconnecting with their families. They are rethinking their lives. Now, moving away from my business coverage, I also started writing a series of what became very popular. They were what we call odes to local restaurants. When I came back to Cincinnati after I was gone for 20 years, I was in New Orleans for 4 and then New York for 16. The math is right there, correct? Yeah. There are so many places that I missed, and the places that I missed the most are the ones that have been here the longest. Those are places like Arnold's Bar and Grill, the Blind Lemon, the National Exemplar, the Comet in Northside, Highland Coffee House. These places that in any other city would have disappeared a long time ago, but thanks to the loyal customers here in Cincinnati, had survived. So I started writing these odes, and they were very writerly, I would say. I tried to wax poetic on memories I had of these restaurants and the connections I had to them, and I think that those pieces really resonated with readers because it helped them remember what they loved about those places too. After talking to the owners of these restaurants, a lot of them told me that they saw a huge increase in business after I wrote about the places, just because they were like, Highland Coffee House is still there, and I haven't been to Arnold's in 20 years. It's time to go back. So I was proud of that, and it's something I want to continue doing in the future. One thing that let me check my notes here. They're not in order. Well, I want to say this. One thing is that when I was in New York, I often came back to Cincinnati to speak at what's called the Cincinnati Food and Wine Classic. And when we came back for it, it would always be me and a bunch of writers who were way more famous than I was. The writers that made me very nervous. They were all, with major publications in New York. And I was sort of their guide when we came here. And I had to show them Cincinnati. I had to show them what we were all about. And I took them to all the restaurants in Over the Rhine. I took them to the restaurants in Northern Kentucky, and they loved them. They were just, they found the architecture of Over the Rhine unbelievable. They fell in love with the city. But I remember on one trip, I decided I was going to take everybody up to the City View Tavern up in Mount Adams, because I'm like, oh, what a great place. I can get a good view of the city. But it was closed. And I was just standing there in the middle of Mount Adams like, oh my God, like the entire future of the food media coverage of this city is in my hands. Where am I going to take these people? And I ended up taking them to the Blind Lemon, which I didn't even know was open anymore. So I took them up there. We walked in through that little alleyway, and I'm just like, oh my God, I hope this place is as good as I remember it. We walked in, and everybody there was like, oh my God, this is incredible. This is the most beautiful bar I've ever seen. They were looking at all the memorabilia. The fire was going. It was just this beautiful moment, and everybody was like, why didn't you take us here first? So, needless to say, a lot of people wrote about the Blind Lemon that year. I also took them to places like Tucker's on Vine, one of my favorite diners, where the food critic for Bon Appetit wrote that the burger there, I think which cost $2 at the time, was one of the best things he ate all year. So, we got to remember how great we were before Over the Rhine, before all these other wonderful food neighborhoods like Covington and Newport emerged. So at that point, when I was working as an editor at Saveur, I wasn't the editor of Saveur, I was an editor, a lowly senior editor. But when I was in New York, the food media was very focused on regional cuisine, mostly Southern cuisine at the time. And I think Southern cuisine was very intriguing to people because you could actually follow the way it emerged. You could see that a lot of foods that were popular in Georgia and Louisiana had been brought over by enslaved people from Africa, and we're still part of that food tradition there. The foods that people had grown up with, they continued to eat. There were very strong traditions. And as I was editing all these stories about the South and writing stories about the South, I started thinking about Cincinnati and Ohio and Northern Kentucky. And I was trying to make these connections, like what foods do we have that are really, just of this place? And so, of course, I started writing about chili, because everybody loves a good Cincinnati chili story. People in New York, my God, they think they hate it, and then I make it for them out of the joy of cooking, which has the best recipe for Cincinnati chili ever, and then they fall madly in love. So, but what I didn't think about when I was growing up, eating at 12:30 a.m., a little bit drunk, and Skyline and Clifton, was that this was immigrant food. This was brought over by Greek immigrants. This food, well, it wasn't brought over, it was invented by Greek immigrants here. And I started thinking about it differently, and I started looking at the families who started these chili companies, and what a wonderful story that was, that they were able to invent a food that we are all, I hope everybody here loves Cincinnati chili, but I sure do, but it's still here. I also started looking at Geta a little bit more closely. I remember we made Geta in the Saveur test kitchen one day, and everybody's like, what in God's name is this? But then again, they tried it, they're like, oh, wow, okay, I get it. But then, you look at that food, that's a German immigrant food. The reason they put the steel-cut oats in the Geta was to stretch the meat. So it's another immigrant food that is still a part of our everyday, well, not everyday diets, but depending on your last doctor's visit. And I've been continuing to do that sort of thing. One thing I discovered when I came back to Cincinnati was mock turtle soup, which I never thought about mock turtle soup in my life. But I went over, I'll tell you, the best historian in Cincinnati, Ohio is the Averill Blay Butcher Shop. Len Blay over there knows everything about all of our food traditions, all of our food ways, everything. So I was at Mecklenburg Gardens and I got some mock turtle soup, and then a few weeks later I was at Quatman's and they had mock turtle soup. I'm like, what's up with mock turtle soup? So I looked it up and I found this article that said, the only reason mock turtle soup still exists in the United States is because of Cincinnati, Ohio. We are the only people that buy it. In fact, there's a wonderful company called Worthmore, I don't know if you all know that, over near Northside, that sells it all over the country to homesick Cincinnatians. So I started looking into why it was so popular here, why it became a real thing. So mock turtle soup is a part of our history I did not know about. I'm writing that article now. It'll be in the 2 weeks, I think you'll be able to see that. Where was I here? Probably try to wrap up. So what's next? So what's next, it says. Okay, as of right now, I'm still not going to do reviews. I'm going to hold off on that for a while. I'm not even sure if I'm ever going to do them again. Right now, I think it's all about kind of serving as a booster to the restaurant industry here, continuing to cover the business of restaurants, writing those odes, celebrating the city as much as I can. I know that people like reviews a lot, and they love a good takedown. I know that. Someday, maybe, if someone really rubs me the wrong way, but not now. But I'll say that now that I have the freedom and the vaccinations to get back out there, I just spend most of my time just driving around the city, driving around Northern Kentucky, and trying to find just what recommend to people what I've been eating that I really love. In fact, today I think there's an article online that I wrote about the best things I ate in June. So I'm still telling you, providing that service of what I think you should be eating, what you might want to try. But for now, I'm just gonna be as kind as I can. And I'm really honored to have this job and to be able to do that. So that is all I have for now.
Thank you very much, Keith, for that very inspiring talk. We learned a lot about Cincinnati, and thank you for sharing about the history and mock turtle soup and the joy of cooking and your experiences from New York. We're glad to have you back here in Cincinnati. Let's give Keith another round of applause. Keith has agreed to answer some questions if you have any. If you have any questions, we have microphones. Not yet? Okay, are there any questions? If you can. Oh, there they are.
I came to Cincinnati as a bride from the East Coast, and after I learned how to spell Cincinnati, my mother-in-law gave me a copy of The Joy of Cooking, the 1976 edition. I love this book. It is now in tatters, and I've opened up the fragments of it a lot. What edition is your favorite chili recipe in The Joy of Cooking?
Did they change it over the years? I'm not even sure. I've not. I don't think. I think it's been the same recipe for every edition. I too am originally from the East Coast. My parents moved here in 1979 when I was a kid. Yeah, the Joy of Cooking recipe is something I just. The editors are from Cincinnati. The editors of the Joy of Cooking. There's also a great recipe for mock turtle soup in The Joy of Cooking, strangely enough. They were really pushing Cincinnati before anybody knew it. It was like, here you go. But again, I remember I used to work at This Old House magazine for years. And we, at Time Inc., which owned This Old House, we had a cook-off. And one year I brought in the chili recipe from The Joy of Cooking, and I covered it with, the chili dip that we all grew up with. It was on the table forever. Everybody's walking by, like the big wigs at Time Inc. are like, "What the hell is that?" Like that's a joke, And there's a competition. So I ended up, after a little time went by, I saw a couple spoons going in there, and all of a sudden people were like, "Look at this!" And everybody started trying it. And sure enough, I won the competition. It was like 100 entries, Joy of Cooking recipe won. So. Just thought I'd throw that little anecdote in there, but yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah. I wonder if you have any sad words about the Sky Galley restaurant, because my first job as a teenager was as a busboy at the Sky Galley restaurant.
Really?
$1.10 an hour. And if you'd like to ask me, if you've worked 3 hours and 12 minutes, how much money have you made? I could probably do that math again.
Well, actually, I wrote an obituary for the Sky Galley in the Enquirer. It'll bring a tear to your eye, I guarantee. I was so upset when that closed. That's a place that my stepfather, who really loved, when I was in college, we'd go there all the time. But I wrote an obituary as if it was a human being I had lost. If you go on the Enquirer's website, you can Google Sky Galley, Pandolfi, it'll come up. But I love that place. I understand they're turning it into a hotel now. Some people from the Hotel Covington group over there are going to turn that into a luxury hotel, and I'm hoping it turns into something great.
Yeah, no, I don't want our table to monopolize
I know that guy.
Hi, Keith. You talked about Cincinnati chili and the fact that it was an immigrant food.
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of the new immigrant food that's coming in Cincinnati?
Yeah. Glad you asked that. There's a wonderful Cambodian restaurant that opened up over in Fort Thomas, Kentucky, that I wrote about a couple months ago. It is from the former chef, forgive me, I can't remember his name right now, but from Oriental Walk. He was there for 27 years, and he opened up, he's Cambodian, he was born in Cambodia, and opened up a wonderful restaurant over there where he's cooking just very straightforward Cambodian food, very bright flavors. Also, Oakley Kitchen just opened up a week or two ago, and they really are focusing on a lot of not just immigrant food, but food from a chef who was part of the diaspora that left New Orleans after Katrina. He's doing some of the best New Orleans food I've ever had there. There's a Syrian restaurant there that I love. There's an Indian restaurant there where it's concentrating on Mumbai street food. That's wonderful. So Oakley Kitchen there's a lot of good stuff going on there, and that's something that I am looking to write more about. That's when it's one of those things where I get in my car, I drive around to strip malls, I try a place out, and hopefully I can, if it's good, I will end up bringing it to people's attention.
I think people have heard enough from me today, but in the general restaurant industry, I heard today, and I think everybody knows that restaurant workers, they say a third of them have gone on somewhere else to work, a third of them want to sit at home and collect unemployment, and the other third want more money. But what's the savior there? I mean, you go into a restaurant and there's 10 empty tables, they say, well, it's going to be an hour and a half because they don't have the servers to serve you. I just don't know if you have an opinion about that.
Yeah, I don't know what I could say about it. Restaurants are still having a horrible time finding workers right now. The unemployment benefits, the additional benefits are over. They've ended. Some people will end up coming back to the workforce for that reason, but a lot of these restaurants have raised their pay to $15 an hour. A lot of them have. And they're hoping that is going to kind of, attract people. I mean, even the fast food places now are paying bonuses, signing bonuses. So there's a lot to go into there. This has just been a wake-up call for the entire industry, the owners, the workers, everyone. So how this is going to pan out, I can't tell you. But I was told this is the last question. Yes. Okay. Last question.
Oh. No, he has the mic.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And how is that influencing what you write on?
I'm a voyeur to that site. I don't weigh in because as given my job, I don't want to go and say this is the best hot dog. Although the best hot dog in Cincinnati, I will say this, is at Mr. Jean's Doghouse in Cumminsville. Just everybody go there after this. It's great. Well, don't go all at once. That'll scare everyone. But it's an amazing Facebook group. Everybody just throws out a question. Where's the best pizza? Where's the best Detroit-style pizza? Where's the best Trenton-style pizza? Where could I get this? Where could I get that? And I get a lot of my story ideas from there because I can see what people want, what they're looking for. And it's a great site. So if you're not a member, you should all sign up because it's...
And they're all positive reviews only. If it's something negative, don't post it.
Yeah.
They'll take it down.
It's a good vibe. And, I've spent... to my wife's chagrin, many hours just scrolling that. It's a fun site. So, sorry.
Thank you very much again, Keith. And Rotary has been in the efforts to eradicate polio since 1980s. And on behalf of your presentation today, in your honor, we will give a donation to Rotary International for the eradication of polio. And also a Rotary pin for this year's theme, which is Serve to Save Lives. Change lives. Serve to change lives.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again. Our next week's meeting will be Michael LaRosa, the CEO of La Rosas Incorporated. So we look forward to seeing you next week here back in the Continental Room. Today we have a new member orientation after our meeting today in salons F and G on the 4th floor. The Board of Directors will be meeting in the Rookwood Room on the 4th floor as well. And the membership retention meeting will be held here in the Continental Room. So thank you so very much for coming today. Welcome again to 2021-22. Let's make it a great year. Meeting adjourned.